So Nick, this is where you're going to talk about your business, a little bit about you, and then your challenges. And then this is where the mentor session will happen. Judy and Charlie will start giving you suggestions, maybe asking some difficult questions, clarifying questions, and that will keep going until about 7:50. And then I'm going to pop back up. So I'm going to disappear, and then I'll pop back up unless there's a question in between. And then, we'll have about 5 more minutes of the mentor session. And then we're just going to wrap it up for those last 5 minutes. And Nick, at the end of that, I would love for you to stick around as the mentors will leave, and we can just kind of see how things went. Okay?
Fantastic.
All right. So take it away, Nick. Tell us what you're up to.
Perfect. So my name is Nick Rizzi. I am based here out of Denver, Colorado, and I graduated from the University of Denver in 2014, originally from Iowa, and I came to Denver and just didn't want to leave. I love it here. So that has been a blast. When I was in college, I did a lot of time socializing, and I had a lot of fun with that. And what I mean specifically on that is I spent a lot more time networking, taking people out to coffee, and meeting people that I wanted to become post-college. And that was really important to me. And I had a few professors who would bring in speakers, and then I would just ask those speakers out to coffee. And I spent a good chunk of my college career and I did the math, it's $1,426 on coffee in 3 years, coffee and lunches, just taking people out. And I loved it. And it was the part that made me happiest. And I ended up graduating college with 13 job offers, which was really exciting for me, but it was more empowering because I got to pick the job that I wanted versus a lot of my friends who had to take the job that they were offered. Mm-hmm. And that was really emotionally frustrating to me. And that is how the idea for Abandon Average had begun. A lot of my peers and a lot of my friends were seniors. They were not graduating with job offers. Some of them hadn't had internships. And I kept hearing the same thing. It was the school does not tell us what to do. They say to network, and we don't know what networking is. I made my resume from a Word template, and that was it. And I've been sending that out. It hadn't been reviewed. And so I ended up helping a couple of my friends. I'm in a professional fraternity called Delta Sigma Pi, and it's a co-ed organization. And that is, I helped a couple of my friends and brothers find places to work. I used my network. I taught them how to interview, and it was a lot of fun. And I got a couple of people jobs from that. And during that same year that I graduated, I ended up being selected as what's called the Collegiate of the Year in our fraternity. And they pick basically one student out of the entire nation. It's an application process that goes through, and it goes through several tiers. So I think it's about 60,000 total potential applicants. And that one student sits on the board of directors of Delta Sigma Pi as the collegiate representative. And that was me for 2014. And that was great because it gave me the opportunity to continue speaking. And we have conferences. There's 5 conferences 2 times a year all around the country through this organization. And so I started speaking and teaching college students after I had just graduated how to do a lot of the same. How they can graduate with 13 job offers, because I am not special as much as my mom likes to think so. And so that was a big point. Sparing a lot of the smaller details there, that is really what bored the idea of Abandon Average. And I started doing that in 2000. So I graduated in 2014. I spoke to I've probably done about 40 conferences under my belt as small session speakers. I've only keynoted 1 conference so far, and that's been a blast. But I want to expand this to schools, and I've been trying to do that for about the last 2 years. I think I incorporated around 2016, and my student or my message is specifically I want to deliver networking training to millennials and iGens, so students are equipped to graduate with multiple job offers, valuable connections, and a professional mentor for their future. And that's really where I've tried to differentiate myself and where I want to help. And I want to work with the schools and provide that supplemental education that 100%, I'm batting 100% of people surveyed say the school is not providing. And the three main issues that I'm encountering is, and kind of starting from the bottom, strategy around distribution. So originally I tapped into my network. Oh, sorry, Charlie.
I think, I don't know whether it's my connection or your connection, but you blinked out there for a few minutes.
Oh, it might be yours because I could still hear him.
Okay. And
actually, where'd you lose me? And I can recap. And Charlie, is it coming in any better now?
Well, actually, I think it's maybe my network because it just put up an area network bandwidth is low. All right, it's better now. Maybe my kids must have my kid must have just got home.
Netflix. So my first issue is around distribution. I tapped into my network. I connected with some of the speakers that I had met that are doing this, and what I care about is more the message, not as much around the avenue. And one of the things that came from this is the schools that I was approaching. I've had 6 schools who, including University of Denver, my alma mater, who are happy to have me on campus. They will put up the room, they will do all the advertising, they will do the flyers, but I cannot get them to pay me. So no one will agree to my rates. I have based my rates off of what a couple of speakers have recommended. Right now, it is $750 for the session, and that's what they recommended that you start at. And if it's a valuable message that you can promote, they will buy. So that's where I'm getting caught. I was having a lot of trouble getting hired on that. I've had 3 schools who actually hired and paid me, but a lot of the other ones that I approached, I'm hitting 2 roadblocks. One of those is they feel that there is not enough value in just the speech. It was recommended at that point that I might want to try and turn the content into the book, which I have. It's about 85%, 90% ready. That's what I'm hoping. One of the things I'm hoping to get out of this, should I push a book? I've actually been exploring an online course system, which is looking much more appealing at this point, where I could sell keys to it and then maybe still come out and speak and present that and give the access to that software. But the first roadblock that I'm hitting is the distribution method, so that the schools feel like value is provided, not just the numbers that I'm presenting. And it may come in my presentation, and I might be doing something wrong there, but that's a big consistent factor that I'm getting. The second one is around credibility and authority. One of my biggest strengths is my age, and it's also one of my biggest weaknesses. I get a lot of very good feedback around when I'm presenting this. A lot of the students that I'm presenting this to feel like, hey, he is not so different. This is not someone on a pedestal. This was another student that we can do the same. And so I'm very easily able to connect to other students, but with schools and especially hiring professionals, I think there's a disconnect where they feel that actually works against me versus for me. So building up that credibility and authority is a second layer. And then the third is the revenue model in itself. Right now, my model is a paid per gig at $750. And during the daytime, I work in software sales, actually, so in between both of you guys. And I sell hospitality software, and it is a blast, and I love sales on that end, so I'm happy to tackle into this. But after experiencing that, I definitely would love to take an avenue that focuses on recurring revenue or a subscription model versus one-time gigs. So those are my major hurdles where I stand.
Okay. Charlie, you okay if I go first?
Yeah, go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay. So a couple of things. Okay. First of all, I truly believe that what you're doing is very valuable because the school doesn't teach you and your employer doesn't teach you. And the fact that you picked up the whole networking thing on your own is huge. And, you know, you've built relationships before you needed them. So that's first, and that's kudos to you. The second thing is when the schools are saying they don't want to pay you, but they'll fill the seats and they'll fill the room and they'll give you the room and everything else, are you allowed to charge admission? Like a minimal amount for admission. Are you allowed to do that or not?
To be honest, I didn't consider that.
Because
a lot of times, oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, even if you charge like a minimal amount, you can always give them back something. You know, here's the top 10 things you need to know when you're networking, or here's the top 10 things to how to build a relationship, or whatever else. You know, if they'll let you charge an admission.
That's a great idea.
Okay, that's the first thing I was thinking of. The other thing is, don't charge admission, but at the end of the talk, have a call to action. Okay, so again, it's very hard to sell something, you know, especially to students. So if you offer them a free 15-minute laser focused session, that's just you and them one-on-one, and you try to, or not try to, you actually answer their number one challenge in those 15 minutes, which you can do because you're not as close as they are to that challenge. And, you know, at the end of the 15 minutes, you can offer them some coaching sessions, or you can offer them something, you know, like the software you're going to build, or you can offer them something where you can actually have an ongoing relationship with them. Okay, as a speaker, when I speak, if a company pays me, I can't sell anything. And sometimes even if they don't pay me, I can't sell anything. So I always do 15-minute, you know, and I always say, okay, so what do you think can happen in 15 minutes? A lot. And so I offer strategy sessions. Now, with that said, a lot of people will take you up on it and some won't show up. So just be prepared for that. But that's another way of getting one-on-one time with a person.
Okay.
Okay, and then the other part is, you know, if you are, I mean, obviously Charlie can talk better to this than I can, but, you know, you can always have them opt into something. Do you have a website, a landing page, anything?
I have a website and I've got about 215 opted in signups that have come from these sessions.
Okay, so there's the other piece, because now that they've already opted in and you're giving them something, now you take them to a webinar. Do a webinar. And give them some amazing content. Don't be afraid to give away some of your content. I know everybody goes, oh, but you know, it's my IP. Baloney. Nothing that we do is original anymore. It's just the way that you deliver it. Give them some really solid stuff and then take them to the next piece. So whether it's, you know, an online program or, you know, whatever that next piece is, and that's what you have to figure out. And then there was one other, and then the biggest thing is, who do you think benefits the best if everybody gets a job? The parents. Yeah. Have you thought of doing something for parents, even through the school?
What I have in place now, and I'm planning on testing it this fall with DU, in the past, I have tried to sell coaching sessions, and I started selling it to the students. That didn't go very well. So I started giving away that little bits of content to give to their parents, to say like, hey, sign me up for this class. It's a supplementary class. And I had a lot of interest from the parents, and that's where a lot of my signups came from, although I think the content wasn't there yet for the conversion. So I think that piece was on me. What I'm testing in the fall is orientation books for freshmen. Every class, every incoming student gets this orientation book. And I know the University of Denver does it. I think Boulder does it, so I might test too. And I'm just going to buy ad space in there because those books are given to the students and the parents. So I'm hoping to get a little more there. I don't really want to pursue charging students because I think it's a much more of an uphill battle. I'd rather go.
Yeah, but the other piece of it is what you're doing is much more valuable when they graduate than it is when they're coming in. So could you offer something at the end? Like a friend of mine wrote a book about goals, and he got it into all like high schools and colleges because it's about goals, and all these kids are graduating. So if you put something together, it doesn't have to be a book, but it could be an ebook. It could be anything that you offer through the school. Let the school buy, you know, do something that's really inexpensive and let them give it away at the end of school. And or because you are a part of this school, you are the alma mater, that is your alma mater, could you not be an adjunct professor and give a course?
That would be very interesting. I would like that.
But don't you think, like, what, you know, if you gave them statistics, here's how many kids graduate every May or June, and here's how many actually have 13 job interviews, and here's how many have 0. And then what happens in August when they're still laying on their parents' couch saying, I don't have a job, I don't have a job, I don't have a job. Maybe you can pick up some of those statistics and bring it to, you know, career advisement or whatever, I don't know which department it is now, but, and talk to them and say, I would love to give a course. Mm-hmm. And they do pay you. They don't pay you a lot. I mean, I do some courses for a college here. It's a community, not a community, it's a corporate college. They do stuff for corporate. I get paid peanuts, mm-hmm. but it is wide open to exposure that I'm getting in the community to, you know, to CEOs and whatever that are taking this class from me that they're paying, you know, really nothing, but it's, you know, even if they're not paying you, I mean, if they paid you to do a semester, they could pay you $750. It's the same as your speaking fee. You do it for, you know, 40 minutes or whatever. So I would look into that.
Interesting. Okay, that's a great idea.
Judith, you are incredible. You have a lot of great ideas. And what I would say, Nick, is that a lot of what I've heard so far is you are focusing on having a disruptive type solution, one where you're going after the normal assumptions that's made in your arena. And some of the things Judy suggested is going after a non-disruptive or going after creating a different market for the same service. And I love what she said hey, talk to the parents. But I'm going to even take it a little further than that, in that as a owner of a business, you'll be amazed how hard it is for us to find people who want to work. Right. Find employees. And you know, so in order for us to find new employees, we go to schools and we may do job fairs. We may do put ads in the newspaper and all these kind of things. So another avenue you can look up that's more of a non-disruptive is go after companies. And talk to the CEOs and the ones that's looking for the engineers or looking for the whatever the services are, and then say I can put together a program where I can get to these students as freshmen. Think about freshman orientations where the parent and the kids are involved. You can start while they're freshmen, not even while they're looking for the job. Why do most parents want their kids to go to college? To find a job, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So if you get involved with those freshman orientation, whether they'll sign up with your program as a freshman and then they're part of your community as a freshman in this step. Because obviously you took steps from your freshman year to your senior year to get those 13 offers. So if you can get them from their freshman year and you have a process that they follow all the way to their senior year, then you'll produce a lot of NICs out there. And that's your goal, to produce a lot of NICs. And so I think right now, your plan has always been to go after the student, but maybe when you go after the student, it should be earlier stage as a freshman while they're still with their parents, and then also maybe go talk to some companies and say, here's something I'm offering. I'm offering students the ability to know what type of opportunities are out there, and I can run around with your banner as I'm talking to these kids. And I know from my point of view, if you out talking to kids, especially at engineering schools, and you can raise our banner, I'd be willing to sponsor you at some of these speeches and some of these presentations. You know, you wouldn't have to ask the school for $750 because you have 5 companies that need employees that's sponsoring you $250, and then you're making $1,200, and you're speaking to all these students.
So Charlie, you're suggesting do like an ongoing, so basically get the pool of students who are going through this training program and then add in companies that are sponsoring essentially this training program? Exactly.
And then you can make, because you have people who have problems, you have companies that have problems with hiring, finding employees. You have students that want to be employees. So you have a need and a solution right there at your fingertip, then you can mentor those kids all the way through to seniors, to their senior. In the companies that you work with, you can come back and say, you know, right here, this certain kid, he's been a part of the community. He's done certain things in the community. This guy would be a perfect fit for your engineering company, and you can marry those two, and you'll get you get taken care of for doing that, because that's a big need out there. And I know, I'm telling you, I have several organizations that I'm part of, several boards that I'm a part of, and in the engineering industry, we have a hard time finding employees. Right? Like for instance, my company, we just signed a contract with Siemens, and Siemens can want me to grow by 40 employees over the next 3 years. You know how hard that's going to be? I'm sitting here dreading how hard that's going to be. But you are a solution to my problem, because you are out helping kids do all they need to do to have their name out there and available for opportunities.
You know, I just thought of another thing for you, Nick. Do the schools that you work with, do they have mentoring programs? Because the schools that are here, they all have official mentoring programs, and they bring in business people to work one-on-one with the kids. And if you became one of the mentors, you also get to have your 30-minute presentation or whatever, and you can spread your word like pretty far. And the mentoring is awesome. I mean, it's just truly awesome. And it's just another way to get your word out, and you're actually going to help all the kids in this mentoring program by teaching them how to build relationships before you need them, and how to network, and all the things that we all know we don't learn. Like, we have to figure that out ourselves, or we have a mentor that teaches us. So, I mean, I would look into, into Denver, and I would look into Boulder, and I'd look into, CC, Colorado Colleges, which is where my son went. I would look into all of those schools and find out if they do mentoring, and if they bring in business people from the outside to do it. I mean, that's what, SMU does it, TCU does it, TWU, all of them here do it, and I've done them with all of them. And it's an amazing experience, number one, but number two, you're going to get your message out. And imagine when they all go back to do the surveys, and your name is on every single survey saying, this was the best one because we actually learned something that we can use right now. So think of it that way too.
So Judy, that is an awesome point. And now that I'm hearing this sort of off of in a more group manner, I'm thinking I might have another issue, or I guess part of one of my challenges. But I did approach DU twice, actually. They've got 2 mentor programs, one for career professionals and one that they just launched called Excite for entrepreneurship. And I was director of operations for a startup. That was the position that I chose at a college. And now I've gone through 2 acquisitions on it. So I got really excited about that program. And when I reached out to apply, I was told, of course, we'll let you know when things are coming up. And I've only been contacted once, and it was for this weekend. I'm going to startup weekend to help. And I'm kind of wondering if I wonder if this goes back to my credibility issue, or potentially age, on I'm not translating the numbers that I've attained into measurable, respectable metrics, I guess.
There's nothing hidden there. You have to say right up front that when you graduated, you had 13 job offers. Don't hide that at all. That's something that you have to talk about all the time, because there are very few kids that get 1. You had 13. And you should talk about how what was your journey? Like, how did you actually do this? How did you learn how to network? How did you learn how to cultivate the relationships? How did you nurture the relationships? And how the heck did you get 13 offers for a job? I mean, that's a huge journey. And if you're not telling that story, that is your story. And that's the story that these kids are going to listen to and go, how did he do that? you know, and you can say that, you know, you had 13, how did you choose the job that you chose? You know, is it money? Is it prestige? What is it? And then you can tell that story. I mean, the best way to get an example across is by the story, and you've got the story. And if they say you don't have the credibility, holy cow, who the heck has the credibility? Somebody that's my age that is saying, oh, so when I got out of school, this is what we did and we all got laid off. I mean, really, I mean, what's the story? The story is nothing. Your story is a valid story. And through that story, you also started a company. And then through that company, you also did this. And then through, I mean, you have the journey there. And if there's, you know, if they're not contacted, first of all, it takes 10 to 12 touch points for anybody to do anything. So if they only called you once, you have to contact them and not just ask like, when can I do this? When can I do this? Just say, you know, I was reading this article and I noticed that you got this award. I wanted to say congratulations. Don't say anything else. That's a touch point. You know, if you talk about entrepreneurship, you find an article about networking, how important it is for students, send the article. Just saw this article, thought of you, blah, blah, blah. That's it, nothing more. And then in between, that's when you start asking, because nobody wants to hear it every time you contact them. You know, it's just, you know, yeah.
Yeah. And I agree, Nick. I think you're shooting yourself short when you say credibility, because if there's going to be anyone that's going to be sitting in front of a lot of students in college to explain how they can obtain 13 offers.
Did you get 13? Did you get 13 offers, Charlie?
55, yeah, it can't be a guy with 8 kids and, you know, it has to be someone that's in the same shoes that that's wearing the same shoes they are.
And you just did it. You just did it. You didn't do it 20 years ago.
Exactly. When they look at you, they say, right. They look at you and say, he just did it, so it must work.
Right.
So I think you actually have the credibility. I agree with you. You need to tell the message.
Yeah.
And I think I'm really thinking that the where you're funding, where you're looking at for your source of funding, you might need to reevaluate, because it's not going to come from the students. I just don't see it coming from the students. Mm-hmm. And the schools are going to really hesitate into paying for it. Although almost every college you look at, they tout their employment rate, right? What percentage of their kids get a job once they graduate?
That's right.
You can show that you can take that 80% that they have and move it to 90%. You show value to that university.
Absolutely. Go to career counseling. Go to that department where they're like starving. Like there's no jobs. How are we going to fill these jobs? Just because Charlie has 20 or 40 jobs he has to fill. He's only one person in that area. You know what I mean? I mean, oh my goodness. You know, if anybody ever got in front of my kids and said, holy cow, I got 13 job offers, I would be like chomping at the bit. And he's right. One of the things you have to remember is don't change your message, change your audience.
Exactly.
Don't change your message.
There's someone in every university that's putting out these numbers. They're saying 90% of our students get a job offer, especially in law. If you look at law schools, that is huge, because they want to get the best law students. So those numbers are set to a certain percentage. If you can talk to that person and show them how you can gain 5% on that number, 10% on that number, that's the person that will want to hire you. That's the person that want to put you in front of everybody. And that's the person that want to put money, give you money, because you are helping them improve that number. And that number is what they are being graded on.
Absolutely. That's absolutely. I mean, I think that, I think you're selling yourself short about the credibility, because it's almost as if I would say, I'm not smart enough, I'm not famous enough, I'm not this enough, I'm not that enough, and I'm not tall enough, and I'm not old enough, and I'm not young enough. I have all the enoughs in my head. It's ridiculous, because it's internal chatter. And that's what you're doing right now. You have this internal chatter saying, I don't have credibility, I'm too young, I'm the same age as my audience, blah, 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 blah. Right? Right? Is that, okay. But seriously, if I get up and I talk to a group of your peers, or even a year or two younger than you, and I tell them about the differences, you know, how men and women are going to treat each other in the job place and so on and so forth, they're going to look at me like, that can't be true. That was back when you were. Now, the problem is some of it still is true. But if I said to them, okay, so when I graduated college, I had a job as a teacher and I lasted for 6 months and then everybody got laid off. Do you want to listen to me about getting a job? No, why would you? But if you got up there and you said, I graduated with 13 job offers, it's like you suck the air out of the room and people are going to be silent until they figure out how they can do what you did. I am telling you, don't just rewind the tapes, rewind the tapes.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. Especially when you
that's
consider,
my new challenge.
Yeah, especially when you consider right now that how majority of kids that graduate from college are coming out with no job.
Absolutely. And in August, they're still laying on their parents' couch.
Exactly.
Right?
And that's why, some of the suggestions we have is maybe, you change who your audience is, and instead of the kids, particularly, you go to, as I mentioned, the school, the person in the school and the university responsible for putting those numbers out. You go to the parents that have the kids sleeping on their couches. I can see that slogan. Do you want your son or daughter sleeping on your couch after they graduate? After you just spent, $50,000 to get them through college, then you want them sitting on your couch. But yeah, I think if you expand your audience, and as Judy said, confidence, you need to just get rid of all those naysayers, because that's in your head. Yeah. That's in your head. Get rid of those, because to me, you are perfect. I could not walk into a university and say, I'm going to help you increase your unemployment, your kids' unemployment, and I'm going to show them how to get jobs. And they'll look at me and I wouldn't have credibility, trust me. But they'll look at you and they'll say, I believe you because you just in a recession.
Yep.
In a job recession, you get 13 job offers. You have something that works. Yep. All right, show this to our kids.
Yep. And the other part is you talked about the entrepreneurship program. What do you think it takes to be an entrepreneur? Oh my goodness. They have to hunt for work. They don't get a regular salary, all these other things. So even if they didn't get job offers, you're teaching them how to build relationships, how to nurture the relationships, how to cultivate them, how to keep them going. And when they need something, they've got this group around them. And you even said you reached out to your network for other people. Well, I'm sorry, but most kids do not have a network. They don't even know what network is. So, there's so many different pieces to this. You can actually put together like a 6-week program, an online program that you could do, you can offer to parents and kids and whomever. But I think that you're selling yourself short, because you have got this. You just now have to go out and sell yourself, and you have to sell yourself with conviction that you understand how this all works. And you should say, if somebody says, well, I don't think anybody will pay for this and we really can't pay for it, and say, how could you not pay for it? Because look at the numbers. Find their numbers for unemployment, and find their numbers of how many kids, have received job offers and how many didn't, and say, maybe they won't all get 13 job offers, but what if every single person that graduated got a job offer? They don't have to get 13.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you took care of 13 people in there, so you can show people how to get more than one, or get one. Holy cow. I mean, all the parents would be loving you. I could tell you that right now.
So I'm my biggest hurdle.
You are. Most of us self-sabotage all the time. You get so close and you go, whoa, wait a minute. I don't know if I can really do that. Yeah, I'm not big enough for this.
So as far as getting that out, because I do love speaking. I have a blast when I go. The sessions that I've done, paid or unpaid, I really enjoy that. But that is not what I would like to, or what I would prefer to build the business on, in terms of a revenue model, because then it's just I would rather pursue like a subscription consistent piece. So it sounds like this, like a course or a community might be a good avenue. So I have 80-90% of the content written and done that I was going to turn into a book. Do you guys think, should I build that into a course instead?
Well, I was just thinking down that path. I use Udemy a lot. I don't know if anyone uses Udemy, but turning that into a course would definitely give you something that can you can monetize. Put it that way. And it's something else I was thinking about as we were sitting here talking is that I was just going through I have 8 kids, and I just got back from one of my kids graduating from Rutgers with his master's, and I was just going and calling in my mind how when they were in high school, all the students that were college bound or considering college, there was this big conference, or the high school would have the parents and the kids come and have someone speak. I can see your program even getting to the kids at that point and the parents, and have your program not just where the kids follow, but the parents also have some following to do it. So you have, let's say you have a step-by-step process. When they're freshmen, they should be doing this. When they're sophomore, they should be doing this. And the parents have a part of it as well, where they check in on their kids, say, have you done these things? Or have you done this? Mm-hmm. Have you talked to your intern officer, the co-op officers, all the things that you did. And if you can get the parents involved and the kids involved, and you get them at an early age when they're freshmen or either seniors in high school, then you have a program that's repeatable, right? And you have sustainable income, and you also have you're building a huge network, tons of data, of which you can then do research on yourself to put out your own numbers. But that's another story. Big data is a huge thing as well. But I think the earlier you can get to the kids and the parents, the better I think you will be. And then if you can get to the schools to show them how you can increase their numbers, I think you're sitting on a gold mine.
Yep.
And right now you're concerned with how much a shovel costs. But what I mean by that is you're stopping yourself from digging because you're worried about, a shovel. They're asking a lot for a shovel. I think you need to just start digging. You have you need. Just start digging on your gold mine, and don't try things. Be willing to fail. Just try stuff. Try some of these ideas that Judy and I have mentioned, but be willing to try things, and also be willing to challenge your assumptions. There's some assumptions that I feel like you're making as far as when you should talk to the kids and who you should talk to. Challenge some of those assumptions. See if dealing with the parents are the best way is the best way to grow this business rather than dealing with the kids. I mean, challenge some of those assumptions.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I think that's been in the back of my head a little bit, and like my audience, I want to be the students, but I think my clients and my goals should be the parents.
Okay, so
I love that idea.
One could be the end person, the end user, which are the kids, but the person that's paying for it are the parents. So you actually have to direct, you have to qualify and disqualify them. Okay, are you this? Are you this? And so the kids are raising their hand, yeah, and make it so they really want it. But have you ever read the book 3 Feet from Gold?
I have not.
Okay, you need to read the book because you're
Napoleon.
You're 3 feet from gold. Okay, that's where you are right now. You're right there, and you cannot go backwards. You can't say, "Okay, I'm done now," because I can't. The magic isn't here. That's one thing. The second thing is you're an alumni. Do you not get the alumni roster? Don't you get who's in the alumni? You must be getting that.
I don't on my own, but I might have access to it.
Well, of course you have. Yeah, okay, so you use your alumni. That's what they're there for. And you talk to some of them because some of them have become very powerful people. And you talk to your network of people and you say, here's what I'm doing. Here's who I'm trying to get in front of. How can you help me? Because we want to help our school. Okay, remember, don't forget, alumni sometimes have senators and judges and attorneys and all kinds of people. That's the other thing. The other one I wanted to say is you asked about a book. So the book is about what? What is it about? Is it about exactly what we're talking about?
Yeah, I have the topics here if you want to, I could share them if you want.
Go ahead.
Sure. So the book was originally it was intended to build credibility, but it's basically everything that I do in the talk more expanded. So I've got the 4 chapters that I have that I know I want to cover are around technology, networking, expectations that millennials and iGens go in entering the workforce, whether or not that's correct is part of the chapter, and the sharing economy. And then there's the other 4 that I've started writing but haven't really finished are around money, career path, our ideas of fulfillment and impact, and then globalization.
Okay, so pick globalization. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You need an odd number. So get rid of 1.
Okay.
You can have a bonus chapter. So you can have 8. But it's really marketing. For some reason, it's always an odd number. 3, 5, 7. 3 is too little. 7 is good. My book is the 7 essential qualities of women who lead. Stephen Covey is 7 habits. So do 7. And then you can have a bonus chapter. But what you could do is divide them into modules, and there's your 7 modules that you have.
And that's actually how I do have things written. So I'm prepared to completely transition this to a course, and I have it set exactly like you're describing. Every chapter breaks in. This is what you should do for your freshman year, sophomore year, senior year around money, around networking, around et cetera.
Okay, so that's that. Also, do you know Skillshare?
Yeah, I have seen Skillshare.
Okay, so one of my clients actually has her courses on Skillshare. So you can look at that and see how that works. It's like Udemy also. But most importantly, you have to know who your clients are. And once you actually have that person and you really identify that person, whether it's the student or the parents, you can also do Facebook ads and really direct them and take them to a webinar. And the webinar can be, 45 minutes to an hour at the most. And you just give them like tons of content that will get them to say, okay, how do I get to you? What do you do next? Well, I have this class or this course, or I have this book, or whatever you want to do. But make sure, I always thought that my perfect person were salespeople on the road. That's not who my person was. That's my end user. The person that is actually going to pay their bills is the VP of sales, or that. So you have to make sure, because the parents are going to pay for this, not the kids. Okay, so you can have like some chapters for the parents as well. You can have your own 7 modules for parents. You can do whatever you need to do, but make sure that that's what I said from the very beginning. The parents are the ones that will benefit the most. Yeah, because they stop paying the bills. You're on your own.
In fact, I think the parents are worried about their kids getting the job from day one. The kids don't think about jobs until they're senior.
Well, the parents are worried when the babies are born.
Yes.
Oh my God, what am I going to do with this baby? But no, seriously, I think Charlie and I are both in agreement that you have something here that is really substantial. You just have to believe it and do it. And that's the thing. You have to just really, really believe. Forget your age. Oh my goodness, that's working for you, not against you. Seriously.
I think I was treating that differently, so that's good.
Yeah. Can I shouldn't ask you, but so what year were you born?
February 14th, 1992.
You are a Valentine's baby. Nice. Okay. So offline, I'll give you a referral that you need to contact.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. That's good stuff. I'm sorry. And I agree. Everything what Judy is saying is that I think you have a winner for sure. And I think that there's a big need for what you offer. I see it every day. I just had a son who graduated from the master's program, and some of the stories I've heard already is scary. Especially as a parent, when you not only paid for 4 years of college, you've now paid for 6 years of college, and you still have kids that are having a hard time finding opportunity. And a lot of it is not because they don't have the ability, it's just they don't have the skills.
That's right.
And if you can get to them and make them part of your network and teach them the skills, not only will you be making them happy, but you'll definitely be making the parents happy.
Yeah. And there's another piece you can add to that, Nick, because I don't know how much you know about soft skills, but the soft skills are, the technical skills, the hard skills are what gets you the job. If you're an engineer, you have to take certain courses. If you're a doctor, there's certain courses. If you're, anything, a chef has to be very technical. So that gets you the job, but the soft skills actually get you the promotions. And a lot of times when kids are looking for jobs today, the recruiter is not saying to them, so tell me all about these wonderful awards you got. They could care less about the awards because they could see it on a resume. What they're looking for is the other parts of them, the people parts, the collaboration, the teamwork. That's what they're looking for. And so you can start talking about how having those soft skills created what you just did, because you networked, you built relationships, you were empathetic, you were a nurturer, you did all the soft skills in order for you to get those 13 positions.
Right. And Judah, just to piggyback on something Judah just said, if you build this network of kids that's looking for jobs, you know who also will want to be a part of that network and maybe even pay you to be a part of that network? Recruiters.
Oh, that was my next thing. It's on my paper. Yep, absolutely.
Recruiters will, if you have a network of 100,000, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 kids that's been a part of your program since freshman, and you've taught them all these different skills, a recruiter will pay you money every month to be a member of that network so that they can have access to those kids.
Or a finder's fee.
Or a finder's fee.
If nothing else, they'll pay you a finder's fee if you connect them. It's a matchmaking situation.
Yeah. I love that idea of incorporating companies into, like, instead of just making this a strict course, make it a community and incorporate companies into that, because everybody wins. Because if I could bring in students here and like, I'm already connected, there are companies actively looking to hire from this community, like that fulfills my mission goal right off the bat.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
Awesome.
Every insurance company would be part of it. Every insurance company, because they're always looking for, talented people. They like college educated kids, and they're looking for the right candidate. Most insurance companies would, and I come from the insurance world, that's why I'm saying this. Insurance companies used to have a booth at any career fair that a college did. You should have a booth at every career fair, and have something like a real snappy saying, a slogan or something that people look at you and they remember that, something. But you should be at every career fair, because you can teach the kids how to get a job.
In fact, your application is a mobile career fair.
Mm-hmm.
If you do it right, you automated the static career fair, and you'll make it so that now is a mobile solution where me as a owner of a business, I can go into your mobile job fair and find kids that's actually actively looking and doing things to be attractive when they graduate.
Oh my God.
You got go-getters.
You're right. You're right. That's a great idea. That's awesome. I just thought of something. Why don't you do a virtual career fair and let the kids go through resume writing, let them go through networking, let them go through all kinds of different pieces that they would have to go through to get a job, and do something like a virtual career fair. And you can charge for that. You can charge for that. And you think of the age bracket, everybody wants to do that. They don't have to leave their house or be outside the computer screen or whatever. They don't actually have to talk to anybody. That could be fun.
I like that. That's an awesome idea, especially getting everybody like a mobilizing force testing through this to see. It's a good opportunity to see if it worked too.
Yeah.
So I know we have limited time left, and I had one last big question. I have about, like I said, I've got about 85% of a book format done. And after hearing all of this, I really think the best avenue is, I agree, is to turn this into a course and build it out of a community. The course would follow the chapters of the book that I've laid out. That's kind of how I structured it.
Right.
Would it still be valuable to release it as a book and have the same
Absolutely.
content set through a course?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because the book is the overview of the course, and the course really goes in deeper.
That makes sense.
So.
Cool. Gosh,
Yep.
This is cool. Charlie, I love that idea with bringing the companies in. Like, I feel like, Judy, you tackled the student perspective that I needed, and Charlie has everything on top that I can add on this. This is awesome. I'm really excited about this. Apparently, I need to get past being my own worst enemy right now, though. That sounds like it's my biggest problem.
Yeah. Yeah, really. I mean, you know, when I was reading about what you said, you know, about credibility and blah, 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 I'm like, okay, so he's probably really young and inexperienced. Really, have you met yourself yet? Because that is not who you are.
Well, I appreciate that, both of you. And I'm going to pick up, I'm going to go buy 3 feet from gold right now.
Yeah, it's a great book, and you'll really enjoy it, and you'll get it. You'll get it right away.
Good.
Right. Another book, if we suggesting books, another book I would suggest is Blue Ocean Shift.
Blue Ocean Shift?
Shift, yep.
Yeah, they have 2 books, Blue Ocean Strategy and Blue Ocean Shift. Blue Ocean Shift is the latest version of it. And I would highly recommend that, because that would open up your mind to different avenues of how you can attack the business concept you have. Yeah. I think you're sitting, to be honest with you, I think you're sitting on the gold, man.
Totally. Okay, I got one more book for you. You got to read this, Make Big Happen.
Make Big Happen. Okay.
It's awesome. I just met the author, and I mean, this is like, it's easy, and it really lays out the steps for you to make big things happen.
That's fantastic. I don't know if you guys can see, but my girlfriend is a librarian. Her dad is a professor. He's their Cuban ethics professor. So we've got 3 bookshelves, and I probably have about 200 books in storage right now that we don't have room for.
Hey, wait, stop. Where is he a professor? Where is he a professor?
He's at DU, actually, but he's part of the oh my goodness, I'm spacing on the name, the religious portion of the school.
Divinity?
It's separate from the school, the divinity school. So he doesn't connect or talk to or know anyone at DU proper. But he's helping quite a bit as well. He's putting me in touch with people. So the people that he does know, he's been a great help.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, well, and that's what actually kicked all of this off for the school specifically, because originally I was going to go through the organizations like Delta Sigma Pi, but it was not quite the avenue that I wanted to take after exploring it. I think the schools are a much better pick.
Okay, and here's one more thing, because I know Anastasia is going to come back on in a second, but here's the other thing. Go to the fraternities and the sororities. Go to the national level and say that you are a member of and whatever, but because part of what they do is either they're doing community service, or they're doing leadership skills, or they're doing something that they'd have to do. And imagine if you helped all of your fraternity brothers to get jobs, or all the sororities to get jobs. I mean, that's huge. Don't dismiss that, because, you know, the Greek life is the Greek life. It's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of things that go on, but however, they really are academic as well. So don't dismiss that, because they have a lot of pull, and you know, they're really pretty powerful.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Anastasia, you're on mute.
I was letting that awesome thought finish. Awesome. You know, let me actually interject a little bit before we start wrapping up and ask a question for you, Nick, because I'm not sure if this may be reminiscing in your mind, but and I think I would like to direct this question more to Charlie. Do you have any thoughts of a platform or a space to where Nick can create this diverse community?
And are you referring to, help me understand your question.
So he's creating a community not only with parents, but with students, potentially recruiters and companies. Where can all of these people meet in the more digital space online?
Or
Oh,
they do?
so somewhat like I guess you know that's a good question. I don't know of any I'm not a big social guy. I'm not on a lot of the social media. I'm one of the ones where my kids, they're all on Facebook and they go, Dad, why are you on Facebook? Mom is on Facebook.
Well, but
But
that's a good point
they
though,
are,
right? It's a good point though, right?
yeah,
Maybe it's a Facebook group that they do, a private group or a LinkedIn group form,
right. And
you know, just,
that's exactly where I was going to go with this. Is maybe something like Facebook is a platform right now that a lot of people are using to create social groups. I can see you using something like that. I know my kids. You know, I can think of the big things, Facebook, Twitter, and things like that. They come out with names that surprises me that there's a technology out there for that. But um, I understand why you asked the question, but I'm probably not the best social person to ask the question. Although I'm in technology, but I would definitely look for something similar to a Facebook or type application.
Well, and I
Not
do write down
LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a little bit.
mhm.
yeah. Oh. Well, I was just gonna say I did write down earlier. I think Udemy could be a good potential avenue for that, and I think Judy you had mentioned Skillshare. So those are other, like, market and advertise through Facebook and maybe build the course through Skillshare or Udemy.
Yeah, but that could be the course. But when you're talking about like having a community of people, so maybe it is like a private
Mhm.
Facebook group, or maybe it is a private LinkedIn group or
Yeah.
something like that, where everybody can go in and there's a forum or whatever. Because Udemy and Skillshare is the course itself. But if they have a question or if they want to, you know, download files or whatever else, is there a place that you can house them? And a lot of times when you do a webinar and you offer a course, you always say, well, we have a private Facebook group or we have a private LinkedIn group or whatever, so you could do anything like that.
Mm. So I think you have some homework, Nick.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, mentors. And Nick, it seems like you got some benefit out of this. So this is the point where we would love to hear from you, Nick. What were some things that you were able to take away from this?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you so much. This was amazing. This was really energizing, and I feel a lot better. I think my biggest takeaway is after vocalizing it, it sounds like I right now am my own worst enemy. So I need to get over that, and that's probably going to be the first thing I need to address, since that sounds like it's stopping my immediate success. So I appreciate the I guess it's candidacy and being able to point that out. So that was really good to know. As far as things that I can use, I took a lot of notes, which is great. Charlie, I absolutely am, like, just even sitting here starting to obsess over the idea of incorporating that company aspect and bringing in sponsors or recruiters and what you had mentioned there, like providing that as a whole nother revenue opportunity and stream. And so that, I think it's fantastic. Judy, I really appreciated specific on the content, like you with the odd number of chapters, going after the students, targeting the parents. I think that really hammers down a lot of pieces that I had floating around and I felt very unsure of. And just even 5 minutes after you said it, you're like, no, this is it. This is what you need to do. So that gives me, I think, a lot more purpose in where I need to take this, because I've been really hesitant I tried really hard to get students to buy it, and everybody was interested, and it just wasn't an avenue I want to pursue. It was painful. And so this is going after the parents, because you guys are right. Everybody wants to see their kids succeed. So this is a really easy way to help make that happen. And I feel good about being able to get the message out there and the avenues for making it happen.
Yay!
I'm excited.
We can feel it, Nick. That's awesome. Good. So yeah, let's do a round of, thanks and gratitude. I hope you all can connect through the app. There are areas where you can chat with each other in there. Nick, feel free to pop in there, ask any questions. You can put it on the timeline so everybody can see it. And all mentors can pop in and help you with answering those questions. And yeah, so Judy, do you have any last thoughts?
The only thing I would say, Nick, is, you're pretty awesome. And So there is, I don't know if Anastasia, I ever sent this to you, but there is a little girl who does an affirmation every morning. And I send this to all my clients. So I probably will end up sending it to you as well. And she stands on the sink, on the vanity in her bathroom every morning. She's got wild hair and she goes, I love my hair, I love my family, I love my legs, I love this. Well, if you don't get positive from just feeling her energy, you'll never get it. And so you need to have affirmations for yourself because you are awesome. And even if you get up every morning and go, I'm freaking awesome. And if that's all you say, that's okay.
Not only do I know the exact video that you're talking about, I have my own right above my dresser where I get dressed.
There you go. Okay. So
I had to start.
Then you better start reading it.
Yeah.
Because you really, I mean, you are awesome and you have to know this. And the fact that you are young actually gets the point of, you know, making sure that the people will get the fact that you know what you're talking about because you just did it. Charlie and I are like way too beyond that part. You know, Anastasia, you're like pushing it a little. No, I'm kidding. But the truth of the matter is, you know, you have to really own yourself. Just believe it. I always tell people become the expert in something. So you can be the expert in, you know, in networking. You could be the expert in millennials. You could be expert, whatever, but you have to say, I am the expert in, and believe it. Because that's, we want people to look for you when they have that challenge because you're the expert in.
Awesome. Thank you, Judy. Charlie, do you have any last thoughts as we wrap up here?
I tell you what, it's always hard following Judy. She is
yeah, right.
But I agree with what she's saying, Nick. And in actuality, you have 13 pieces of gold in your hand.
That's right.
That all other students want to have. So you've already achieved something that everyone else wants. Now you just need to have confidence in yourself to tell them how they could go from 0 to 13. And they will trust what you tell them because they looking in their hands and they see 0. And they looking in your hand and they see 13. And not only do they see 13, they see it from someone that's a peer, someone that's just a few years away from where they are. And again, I think you're sitting on a gold mine. Don't shoot yourself short, and enjoy the ride. I think you have a wonderful journey ahead of you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you guys so much. This was incredible.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
All right. Well, this concludes our Entrennial Mentor session and hot seat. Thank you so much, mentors, for joining us. Really appreciate your time. You guys are so awesome. And you bring such amazing content and impact and value. Really appreciate, I mean, I'm going to speak a little bit for Nikki. I really appreciate the referrals, the resources, all the books. Really excited about that. So awesome. At this time, this concludes the mentor session. So mentors, if you could leave the room, it'll just be me and Nick because he and I are going to talk for just a couple more minutes. And we'll follow up. We'll follow up with the recording, so you guys can rewatch it, share it. It's totally up to you guys, as Nick has allowed this to be released. So thank you so much, mentors, and you have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.